If you carry a firearm and discharge your weapon in self-defense, you could face hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees and expenses. So carry the protection of CCW Safe, Self-Defense Legal Services membership. Upfront payment of all criminal and civil defense costs with no out-of-pocket for members. Unlimited defense budgets, unmatched legal expertise. Carry the same level of support police officers have. Carry CCW Safe, the highest caliber.
And we're back, and I'm joined tonight by special guest Mark Choppa. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Chris.
I was thinking to myself, I wish we had met under different circumstances, though.
Yeah, me too, man.
It's been quite a nightmare y'all have been dealing with since Thanksgiving. So just to make sure I don't do you any injustices, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, Mark, and then we'll proceed to discuss your case.
All right. My name is Mark Malley, also known as Mark Choppa. I'm a 2A advocate and also a community activist. I'm boots on the ground. I'm in the community. I'm in the school system as an interventionist specialist, teaching the kids de-escalation and conflict resolution. I also coach girls football, and I host community events that teach the youth and families survival skills, hunting, fishing, and of course, firearm safety and awareness.
Yeah, that's amazing, Mark. And you're in Maryland, correct?
I am, Baltimore, Maryland.
Maryland. All right. So, yeah, I was familiar with the firearm safety stuff that you do in particular, and of course, we have some mutual acquaintances, including Black Rambo. He's a character. We've shot some content with him in the past, maybe 3 years ago or so. But he's a pretty decent guy.
Yeah.
So let's get right down to the heart of the matter here.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to quickly say right off the bat that, you've got a few 100,000 followers on YouTube. Clearly you get suppressed as well because of gun content.
Yep.
And it's funny, when we first got introduced, I went to your channel, I saw you shooting a Glock, and multiple times you said, this is a legal Glock trigger. This is not a Glock switch. Yep. And I don't know that some people probably don't realize that our friends at Flex Industries, they make a G-Flex trigger, which we'll discuss in more depth as we go. But
Flex Industries, shout out to them. They were the first company that reached out to me and contributed and just wanted to, send their contribution, to me and my family and send their love. So, yeah.
Well, it's funny because, of course, we're both acquainted and friends with the owners of Flex Industries.
Yeah.
But when I watched that video, I thought to myself, I wonder if the ATF watched these videos and completely disregarded you saying, look, these are legal triggers from, Flex Industries, the G-Flex, and decided to target you because if I'm understanding things correctly, the whole reason the ATF raided you at home was because they thought that you had full auto machine guns. Is that correct?
Yeah, when they raided my house, the officers, the agents were looking for machine guns, anything relatable to a machine gun.
So let's paint the picture here for our audience. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. You and your wife work for the school board. You guys are up early every single day.
Every day. Yeah.
And was it your wife that noticed that there were agents outside the house first?
Yep, because first thing in the morning, she usually comes in the living room and drinks her coffee. I'm still up in the bedroom, kind of getting myself together. And she screams out my name, and she says, somebody's outside, Mark. So first thing I do is, grab my firearm, of course, and I look out the window. And that's when I noticed there are agents everywhere crawling through my grass, tactical movements, and you can see them trying to be very stealth, but I'm literally watching down from my second story bedroom. I'm seeing everything.
Well, Well, I was just going to back that up by saying, if you look at the thumbnail that we used for tonight's episode, I blew that up with some AI. So in other words, enhance the resolution of that picture from your security system. And I started circling all the agents that I could spot. And I actually think I missed a couple circles. There were that many of them outside.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're a firearms expert. I mean, you're not just an enthusiast, you're an instructor as well.
I am.
What would have happened, just theoretically speaking, if you're sound asleep and all of a sudden they knock your door down. I mean, I know what I would do. I would go straight for my gun. I sleep beside 3 guns.
Yeah.
And how would have the situation unfolded in that case, Mark? Paint the picture, because it's not pretty.
And that's what I'm pretty pissed off about, because it's about what could have happened. You know, you talk about, you think about Brian Manowski. You know what, it would have been the same similar situation. I would have been outnumbered, outgunned, and I would have first thought, I would have been defending my home, thinking there's someone breaking into my home, and they would have shot and killed me. And
Well,
I have young children, and they could have been caught in the crossfire as
absolutely.
well. So
So let's be clear here. You don't have any machine guns.
I don't.
They search your collection of guns. There's no machine guns. There's nothing illegal. But you mentioned Manowski. That was an illegitimate raid on him as well, and he lost his life
He lost his life.
in the process. So it's not, hyperbole to say that you could have lost your life, or your children, or your wife, or anybody else in the house. So walk me through the next part. Your wife tells you that the ATF's out there, or at least law enforcement's there.
Yeah.
You announce yourself to law
know.
enforcement, and what did they do?
They pointed all their rifles up to the second story of my home.
Wasn't there a flashbang that was thrown in as well?
Right after I immediately announced myself and told them we were coming down to cooperate, and that's when I hear my wife scream, and I hear the bomb go off.
What was going through your mind at that point in time? I mean, I've got to give you a pat on the back, Mark. It's amazing that you were able to resolve this without defending yourself, with guns yourself. I mean, I can't even imagine how I'd probably be dead right now myself.
My first thought was get to my children, make sure my children are up, get them up now. Make sure that they're up and awake and they're calm, they're not making sudden movements, and they're coming out to comply behind me, because it was a vicious, brutal attack.
So let's get to basically why they said that they targeted you. Am I correct in stating that it was an anonymous tip? Like, at least they're claiming it was an anonymous tip?
They were claiming that my name was brought up on the warrant, the search warrant, because there was a search warrant. It said firearms possessed by a felon, which I'm not a felon. I never been convicted of a felony. I work in the school system full time. So that right there voided out their whole claims. It said firearm trafficking. It said machine guns. And of course, when they came, they didn't find any machine guns. I have a 80 gun safe that is full, and not one of those guns are machine guns. They're all Maryland compliant, and they're all federally compliant.
So you hit on something there that I wanted to ask you about. I'm not overly familiar with the firearms laws in Maryland, but my understanding is they're nowhere near as, I don't know, it's not like Texas or Florida here. It's
just as bad as California, New York, Illinois. I mean it.
So when you say that they're, firearms are compliant to Maryland standards, what does that mean? As far as, is there a registry or something that
there's a registry, and also all your rifles have to have a 16-inch barrel. Get it. Anything over a 16-inch barrel is illegal in the state of Maryland.
Wow. I did not know that. Okay. So we learned something new every day. So the way that our show goes, Mark, is we typically have this like 10-15 minute conversation at the beginning to give our audience the gist of what the main topic is for the night. So, I mean, we've painted a very high level picture. And for those of you who are tight on time, you can go to patreon.com/survival dispatch, download the situation report /brief for tonight. It's actually 64 pages long, because we're getting caught up on some memes, but all of the links to everything relative to Mark's situation is in there. But now that that's out of the way, we'll dig a little bit deeper, Mark, as we get into this. So this was not your first encounter with government interference, for lack of a better term. Give me.
Absolutely not. I've been a target for some time now. I am heavily armed, and I am a Democratic state. I am in the state of Maryland, and I have been harassed for some time now. And this is really the first time in this situation, because enough is enough. Okay, now you come from my family. You assaulted my children, and it's unforgivable. It's unforgivable what they did and what they're doing.
So as I'm going through the details, Mark, this seems like somebody or a group of people have really got it in for you. Like this is a persecution of sorts. Did I read that they've threatened property owners who have you show up at an event saying that
Absolutely.
they're going to come down on those property owners just because you're there
Yep.
supporting one of their activities or events?
Yeah, they fined property owners over $300,000 for allowing me to host workshops for the community, and these are free workshops. It isn't like we're operating a business or a gun range. We are doing community work efforts to better our community. Just archery, firearm safety and awareness. We do de-escalation. We do self-defense. We do all these workshops in a day, and we make an event out of it, and we never had an issue. I've been doing this for 5 years.
Wow.
For the last 2.5 years, they have been shutting down my events. They have been threatening me. They threaten my family. They threaten anybody that is affiliated with me that I've used their property to host these events on. They've got injunctions, and 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 now we're here.
So before they really started harassing you like this, what would the turnout be for these types of events? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of all walks of life coming together and enjoying their Second Amendment, exercising their Second Amendment. So I
It,
mean, it's been a beautiful thing, and sometimes we've had 600 to 800 people in the same space, and not to mention we have never had one incident at these events. There's never been an incident. There's never been a misfire. There's never been an argument, and we're talking about hundreds of armed men and women and children that are there learning and getting educated.
I mean, usually in these types of situations, Mark, my first thought is to follow the money. Like, where does the money go? Not on your side. I mean, on the other side. It makes me wonder, is there somebody like a Michael Bloomberg behind this or one of the
I thought
groups that
that as
they've,
well.
because I mean, at the end of the day, let's say that you're on the other side of the equation. Okay. So you're not a
Yeah,
gun person
yeah,
and you're truly concerned over public safety and stuff.
yeah,
Why would you want to shut down an activist like yourself who's passing on valuable safety information
yeah.
and training so that people respect firearms and there's less bad things that come out of it? Why would they go after somebody like that? It just seems to me there's probably money somewhere that you
Yeah.
can trace it back to one of these, organizations, because it makes no sense at all. Because I noticed that you used a word in one of your interviews to basically normalize educated black firearm owners in the inner city.
Yeah.
And I
Because
mean,
we
that's a,
never had it. We never had it. I grew up, I didn't know a lick about firearms.
it's,
There was no one educating the youth in inner cities. No one took us hunting. No one took us fishing. No one taught us self-defense. No one taught us how to de-escalate a situation. And this is something I wanted to offer because I knew how ignorant and uneducated I was of the subject.
again, I'm shaking my head not at you, just at the circumstances
Yeah.
that why would anybody be against this? And I don't have an answer to that question other than it's somebody spinning the anti-gun narratives for
Yeah.
political purposes. But so this is, you're not, I mean, I'm not trying to downplay your situation. I mean, I would be pissed if I was in your situation. I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have handled it as well as you because I'm not an instructor or anything like that. I would have gone straight to my guns and I wouldn't have been up at 4 o'clock in the morning, likely either drinking my
Yeah,
coffee.
yeah.
Like,
I did go straight for my gun, but when I noticed it was law enforcement, I definitely put my firearm down, and it was still by the window sill when they bust down here. because I do realize that I have young children, and the last thing I wanted was a firefight, and I couldn't. That's something I wasn't willing to jeopardize.
Well, I mean, kudos for that. I mean, just incredibly intelligent on your part, Mark. And again,
Thank you, Chris.
a lot of people would not have had the restraint that you did, or wouldn't have been as clear thinking as you were. But, and I'm not trying to downplay your situation at all, but your story is one of many. Like, this is happening
It
across the
is.
country,
It
and it
is.
doesn't get the coverage
Yep.
that it deserves. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know of anybody else who's been doing the work that you're doing in those inner city areas to
Yeah.
try and teach people gun safety.
Yeah.
I noticed somebody in one of the articles, used the term marginalized communities. And I had never really thought of this until I started researching your background, Mark. I mean, I was, raised in a rural community.
Yeah.
So it's not a foreign concept to go hunting, fishing, have guns, those sort of things. But
Yep.
I understand now what you're saying, and I think to me it makes your situation even more egregious, because the people who haven't had any of this information given to them, that need it the most for
Yeah.
all the right purposes, right?
Yeah.
That they would come down on someone like you doing this work. I mean, it's unbelievable. So moving forward from here, I mean, what are your plans for continuing to educate your communities, other, not just your communities, but communities in general? Are you still doing it, or have they really, basically put you under their heel?
Oh no, absolutely. I am more. I'm pissed off. They're. I'm more focused than I ever been. I plan on hosting even larger events, because this is a sign for me. I'm a godly man, and I believe that when you're moving righteous, not even the ATF can stop you. So yeah, we will still be moving forward. We have an event coming up, and a women's event actually, and we're going to empower the women in the DMV area, the DC, Maryland, and Virginia, and it's going to be a free event, and we want everyone to come out, and we want our women to get protected and educated. So
So, Mark, do me a favor when you have the details for that. If you have any, assets like posters and stuff that you can send us, we'll be happy to try and get the word out in your area as well. Quick
thank you.
question: Are you going to be at SHOT Show this year by any chance?
Absolutely. Thank you for Flex Triggers. Yeah, Flex Industries.
So
They're sponsoring my trip. So
awesome. Okay, so my wife Cindy and I will be there, and some other guys from the Survival Dispatch crew. So we'll have to make a point of getting together, doing dinner, and
absolutely.
maybe we'll do a follow up to this video as well. But
Okay.
let's go back to the conversation that we had before we went live with regards to the current situation. So the ATF is saying this is an ongoing investigation. They got nothing,
They got
but
absolutely nothing. They took a cell phone. They took my cell phone. But I had, like I said, this safe is still full of all my firearms. They didn't take not one firearm because they were all um legal.
so moving forward from here, though, there's always the possibility that they could come with, some fabricated story against you, some, fabricated charges. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll probably have black helicopters going over my home in the morning, but I wouldn't put it past the ATF to do
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So typically, until the waters are clear from the criminal aspect,
Yeah.
it's unusual to launch civil action until the criminal stuff is out of the way. It's not unheard of, but it's not typically the order of events.
Yeah.
What's your attorney say worst case scenario this could be to defend yourself financially on the criminal side? Let's start there.
Well, it will start against a Fed case. This is a federal judge signed off on the search warrant, so that means it is a federal case. With those kind of charges, machine guns, firearm trafficking, minimum $50,000, and it can amount up to hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I would think so. So actually back up just for a second, Mark. What was the trafficking aspect? What were they trying to say that you were
Someone mentioned my name and alleged I was trafficking firearms or selling firearms,
okay? All
which I
right.
never sold. I buy guns. I don't sell them. I'm a collector.
Yeah, I get that
So,
completely. So, I mean, I have to look into it a little bit deeper because I'm not an expert in that area by any stretch of the imagination. I mean,
yeah.
if you and I, for example, whether we were friends or not, and I said to you, hey, Mark, do you want to buy this pistol? There's no law against you buying that pistol from me here in Florida. And I don't know what Maryland's like, but here, that's not a big deal. But to put trafficking on there,
Yeah. Yeah.
that sounds like a larger scale thing, like, and I can't imagine. I know we've got mutual friends, especially at Flex Industries, and
Yeah.
that you're not trafficking guns, you don't have machine guns. So that leads to the next part is that number one, you may have to defend yourself in court on these bullshit allegations.
Yeah.
But whether that comes to pass or not, clearly there's going to be civil litigation on your part. So I want to know how people can help. Can people donate towards your legal fees, Mark?
Yeah. And we appreciate any support, any contribution. You can go to we can click the link that is in this video
Okay.
description. Also, if you follow me on Mark Chopper on Instagram, there's a link in my bio as well. Also on Twitter, Mark Chopper TV, there's a link.
Good.
And like I said, we're grateful for anything you guys could contribute.
So has anybody reached out to you from like Firearms Policy Coalition, Gun Owners of America, anything like that to offer assistance?
No, national associations of gun rights, they reached out to me and
Okay.
they did a story on me and got their supporters to contribute, and it made a big difference, and we are so grateful for them. But they were the only big organization so far, because the story is fresh. It happened around Thanksgiving, so these things kind of take time to hit the algorithm.
Yeah, they do. And I mean, uh, we had a little bit of miscommunication on our scheduling last week. Otherwise, we would have got this out a week sooner. But
Yeah, yeah,
this literally happened just before the holidays, right? Like just a
yeah,
matter of days before Thanksgiving.
yeah. 20 on the 21st.
Yeah, because I noticed that the handful of podcasts that have information on it, though, it's really, really current. Like it absolutely isn't something that's been going on for a long time. And I
Yeah.
kind of hope that when you're in Vegas, Mark, that maybe somebody like FPC picks up the ball and runs with it because they are some litigious SOBs. And I say that in a very nice way. I love those guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if you follow them on Twitter or X at all, but they
I
crack me up.
will. I will follow them, but the support from the 2A community has been uh, phenomenal. You know, and it's really good to see that sense of unity between, like I said, all walks of life. Just because this could have happened to anybody, any one of us that represents the 2A community, any one of us that advocates for our Second Amendment. If they can just come and brutally assault family, my family, they can they can do the same to you. They can do the same to anybody that stands up for our Second Amendment. So it's just really we're blessed. It's really good to see the community just come together like this.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, people can people can say whatever they want to say, but gun owners are gun owners, and we stick together at the end of the day. So
Absolutely.
I got a couple clips, I think, from your security system. I'm not sure if they're both the same or not, and then I'll get into some other ones. But let me play this one first, and when we get to the end of it, I'll have you explain what's going on here.
Okay. That dog is barking. That is actually my dog going
Okay.
on. And I was worried about him. Pablo.
Hello? Hello, police! The police! Come here! Police! This is the police with a warrant! This is the police with a warrant! Police with a warrant! Stay away from the door! Police! Occupant!
Let me pause it just there for a second, Mark. What was that? It sounded almost like a gunshot. Was that a flashbang?
That was a flashbang, and it
Okay.
came directly into the living room. And my wife was literally sitting down, drinking her coffee at the time.
Wow.
Because she was, of course, waiting on me, but I was getting the children together. But before I can get to her, she had already been hit with a bomb.
Golly. All right, we'll play the rest of this here.
Police with a warrant! Come to the door! Occupant! This is the police with a warrant! Come to the door! This is the police! Y'all at your hands! Come on to the door! Occupant! This is the police!
Mark, it looks to me like you're wearing a tank top there. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm in my underwear, Chris.
What was the temperature?
20 degrees outside.
Golly. All right, so we'll stop that one there. I've got a couple more, Mark, but I want you to give us the lowdown on this stuff here. Where were your daughters at this time?
They were directly behind me. My wife was directly behind me. I came out first, hands up. My wife then came out. Then my oldest daughter, and then my youngest daughter, who is 13 years old. And they were in their pajamas. Everyone was in their pajamas coming outside. My oldest daughter, she was in a just nothing but a tank top and her panties. Okay, so I mean, and when I turned around, when they told me to turn around, they were giving conflicting orders. Come to the door, stay away from the door, turn around. I'm coming down mid steps. So when I finally turned around, I see they have all their rifles pointed at my youngest daughter and my oldest daughter. And that is when I almost snapped, and I tried to reason with them like, hey, you're pointing guns at my children. Okay, and they're still pointing at them. I say, okay, this is the last warning. You're pointing guns at my effing children. Okay. And then the rifles, I see the rifles low, and one of the guys say, hey, it's gonna be all right. You know, I mean, it wasn't gonna be all right because you guys were pointing guns at my children. So I almost had a moment where I lost control because it was a very emotional moment for me, and it just as their father, as their protector, it was heartbreaking.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine, Mark. I mean, I think our audience is pretty astute and realizes that you were in significant danger. You and your family, very significant danger. It only takes one person to react the wrong way, and the wheels come off of everything, and you end up like the other guy we discussed who ended up dead. I mean, it's that dangerous. So let me go on to the next video here, Mark, and give me a second to pull it up. I tell you what, I would kill for a producer. We go through so much content online.
You're doing a good job.
Yeah, so this one is absolutely my pleasure, Mark. I mean, we need to shine a light on this stuff big time, but this is on your channel on YouTube. 7 days ago, you posted this one. It's only a minute, 24 seconds, so I'm going to play the entire video.
Imagine yourself sleeping peacefully in your home until, boom, flashbangs are going off in your kitchen, The police are ordering your wife and family outside of your house at gunpoint. They are disrupting your peace and privacy, all because you exercised your Second Amendment rights. This is exactly what happened to Mark Manley.
So this story is about Mark Manley, also known as Mark Choppa, a guy who has 308,000 followers on YouTube, though he doesn't seem to update his channel very often. To my understanding, he is a high school teacher and coach who also holds self-defense classes, teaches survival skills, firearms training, hunting and fishing, conflict resolution, and is a Second Amendment advocate.
The ATF decided to give a gun rights activist an early Thanksgiving surprise when they raided his home in pre-dawn hours. There's a guy named Mark Manley, and his nickname is Choppa, so it's Mark Choppa Manley.
No charges, nothing was found, and you flashbanged an entire family, including children, and pointed an entire squad's rifles at them? For what? Nothing. Go on. All right. Hours later, after Mr. Manley...
Mark is all about unity. He doesn't give a shit about race. He doesn't give a shit about religion. He wants to educate people.
Imagine.
All right, so we'll stop that one there. I mean, I'm almost speechless at this, Mark, just what they put you and your family through and how dangerous this situation could be. And it I guess what I want to say is that they wonder why many of us have no faith left in our government agencies. And it's stuff like this that completely erodes any trust in the ATF, the FBI, the DOJ. I mean, there's no accountability on this stuff whatsoever.
I mean, it was completely unethical, completely unconstitutional, and it's unforgivable. I would never forget this. My children, they will remember this 50 years from now. This was a completely traumatizing event for them, and it was uncalled for. That could have been avoided. A simple phone call, simple knock at the door, a simple, catch me while I'm at the grocery store. Bring me back to the house when my children are at school. I'm a full-time high school teacher. I'm working from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then after I get off work, I'm coaching girls flag football. I am not a firearm trafficker. I don't have illegal firearms in my home. If they did any real investigation, they would have came to that conclusion.
I'll say that there's good and bad people in all walks of life, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that it's fair to say to any particular group, like all cops are bad, those sort of things.
I agree.
But when these sorts of incidents happen, clearly somebody at a higher level authorized this. Yeah. And again, then they wonder why people have lost confidence or don't trust them. And clearly you're a good parent, and I'm sure that your children are pretty well adjusted, but it wouldn't take much to say, hey, what happens 10, 15 years down the road and your daughters are married and something like this happens to them when they've got young children? There will be less than zero trust in the authorities, and that's how things escalate, right? Like it just makes me shake my head, Mark. So I'm going to play another short video here. It's a minute and 4 seconds long on your channel with regards to being on the front page of the Washington Post. Mm-hmm. And you were in a citizen involved shooting at one point in time. And maybe you can give a little bit of background that you were not found guilty or anything like that. You were 100% justified defending yourself. And it makes me wonder, Mark, on that particular topic before we get right into it, is that I wouldn't be surprised if they looked at your videos, they didn't believe you when you said it was a G-Flex trigger instead of a Glock switch, and then they knew that you had to defend yourself at one point in time and basically decided in advance that he's got to be guilty. You know what I mean? So yeah. Let's play this short one here, and then I'll have you speak to it as soon as it's done.
Article right here, 2000.
I'm gonna back it up there.
I'm just reflecting, man. This article right here, 2019. I was on the front page of the Washington Post for a justified homicide. the lowest moment of my life, man. I lost everything, man. My family had to relocate. We had to pay $30K for a lawyer that we didn't have for real. And not to mention the trauma, the depression I had to go through from taking a young black man's life. Because at heart, I'm a mentor, I'm a big brother out here in the street. But I don't care who you are, I ain't gonna let you play with me. This article was a few days ago, 2022. Probably the highest moment of my life because it shows me as an educator, a mentor, a big brother, a man of the people. And this is probably the highest moment of my life. And I say that to you to say, don't ever stop. Your journey is your journey. Everything you've been through is to prepare you to where you're going. You have to move with purpose. I could have gave up. And I would never be right here showing the world that we can overcome.
All right. So, Mark, do me a favor. Describe the self-defense situation first, and then describe the second time that you're on the cover.
All right.
You don't have to go into deep detail. I know that it was ruled that you were not at fault.
I'm just going to say this. There were 4 armed masked men. There were masked gunmen, 4 of them, and one of them got killed. One of them was killed. They were attempting to rob a vape shop. At the time, I had a security company for over 10 years, and the homicide was ruled justified, but they charged me with unregistered firearm, and this was in Washington D.C. If you don't know, D.C. gun laws are like, I mean, they're worse than Maryland. So, yeah, they're worse than Maryland, and it was a very tragic moment for me.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to open up any old wounds, Mark, and we can move
Yeah,
on from there. Let's just say this.
All
That you're
right.
sitting in front of a gun safe, you have a bunch of guns. Clearly, you are not a convicted felon at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
yeah,
You
yep.
know, and we'll leave it at that. So the second
Yeah.
time though that you're in the Washington Post on the cover, explain what that was for.
That was actually that was a article that shined light on my workshops that I explained to you
Yep.
earlier. The de-escalation, the self-defense, the firearms training, and they highlighted some of the people that spoke out and that have changed their thought process, and they were able to get trained and their concealed carry permits and just kind of just do things the right way. And before that wasn't even an idea for most of us, you know.
Well,
And I want to touch back on the first situation.
sure. Go ahead, Mark.
When I spoke about just being uneducated on firearms, that situation is what led me to start, for one, educating myself, and then started making videos on firearms, and started educating the people. I started educating my brothers and sisters, educating my mom, and it made such an impact on the people around me. Now my mom has a concealed carry permit, and she's been anti 2A since I was born.
No
We
kidding.
weren't allowed to play with water guns. But now my mother shows up to these workshops. She shows up to these training compounds events that I have, and she's my number one supporter,
Right on.
supporting the 2A. So if I could change her heart and her mind on the subject, I can change anybody's mind about it, because I'm telling you right now, my mother she didn't want anything to do with any firearms in the house, or if anything to do with guns. So
That's an amazing story, Mark, and clearly a testament to your ability to educate and influence people. So again, kudos for that. We need more people like you to provide education for other people, because it's not that people aren't smart; it's that people don't know what they don't know.
They
At
don't
the end of
know.
the day,
They don't know an armed society is a polite society. And all you got to do is look at the statistics. All you got to look, if you go down to the events I've been holding, I mean, we're talking about hundreds of armed men and women, you know, and there's not been a peep or argument, because everyone is very respectful. Everybody is being responsible, and you know, you gotta show respect when another man is armed, another woman is armed. So let's just keep the peace.
let's back up for a second, Mark, just in case. Well, I know for a fact because I'm watching 6 different platforms. I've got half a dozen screens in front of me here. So
Yeah.
there's some people on that weren't on earlier. And so what the event that you just described, the one that was on the cover of the Washington Post and that you continue to give to this day,
Yeah.
that the powers that be have gone after those property owners and venue hosts and tried to get them basically to back out of doing anything with you by
Yeah.
threatening them, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's probably one of the craziest things to me. I don't know how you square that. How do you be a proponent of gun safety and then turn around and shut down somebody who's educating people on gun safety?
I honestly believe what you said, follow the money. Honestly, we're making a difference, not to bring race into it, but in urban communities, we're majority black. And majority of black people are being turned into prison profits because they're unaware and uneducated on firearms, getting their firearm permits, getting their concealed carries. And when you taking away populations in the prison, it becomes a problem. I don't care who you are. When you start messing with the money, you start creating problems for a lot of people.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is a little bit of a tangent or a rabbit hole, but let's look at this together. Let's go down this together. So, myself, I am a hardcore libertarian, lowercase L, not capital L. Those guys are kooky.
Yeah.
So, I believe in smaller government, less laws, regulations, less government interference, all those sort of things. And I am the furthest thing you can imagine from being a woke progressive liberal. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you something I have a serious problem with, and it ties back to follow the money.
Mhm.
When we started privatizing our penal institutions primarily under Bill Clinton, and you got big money involved in this, you touched on it already. So you've got people who have committed very minor crimes, like a small bag of pot or something. I don't smoke drugs. I don't do drugs. I have no interest in drugs. To be quite honest, as a libertarian, if somebody wants to smoke a joint, I don't give a shit. It doesn't impact me. It doesn't bother me. Do whatever you want. But to take people like that and throw them into the system. So number one, it costs us a lot of money as taxpayers, right?
Absolutely.
Number two, we're putting money into people's pockets that are running these private penal institutions. And number three, I don't care what community you're from. Generally speaking, going to the big house is like going to university to become a bigger, better criminal. And then you get out and the cycle just continues to repeat itself, right?
There's no reform.
I mean, it's no big secret. We're big fans of Donald Trump. I've been to Mar-a-Lago. We've raised money for things like Border 911 and stuff like that. But I think one of the biggest issues that I've had with Kamala Harris over the years is her bragging about locking people up for these minor infractions. And yet she claims that she's, I don't know what the right word is, Mark, a friend of, the average everyday American. She's the furthest thing from that. And we could do an entire night on nothing but those types of policies. So I'll take us out of that rabbit hole.
Yeah, no, Chris, I'm gonna let you touch on that. I don't touch on any politics. That's always kind of been my belief. I don't care who you vote for. I don't care your religion. I don't care your background. I'm a believer of God, and that's who I put my trust in.
And that's well said, Mark. So I've got another video here, and I want to say it's maybe 9 or 10 minutes long. So obviously we're not going to play the whole one. This is a Liberty Doll on Rumble, and I've seen a couple of her videos in the past. Did you meet her by chance, Mark?
No, I never met her. This was the first time I've seen her channel, and I was just so grateful. It popped up on my YouTube, and I'm like, who is this woman? She's like, I mean, she is fighting for me. She is fighting for me, and I was just so grateful, so appreciative. Thank you, Liberty Doll. Yeah.
Yeah, she is, and I think she's more deserving of more followers. But
Yeah.
I'm just going to play the beginning of this, and then I'll repeat for everybody in the audience. Go to patreon.com/survival dispatch, sign up for a free membership. 50% of our daily sit rep situation reports are free. I have links to everything. Now, tonight's is 64 pages long. It's only for paying members. It's $9.99 a month. But think of it as a highly curated daily newspaper. Just myself personally, I read somewhere between 250,000 and 350,000 words per day, 7 days a week on news, and try stitch it all together and get rid of the noise and just give you all the truth. So, but let's have a quick listen to Liberty Doll here.
The ATF has raided a Second Amendment community activist, pointing guns at his kids and accusing him of being a felon and owning illegal firearms, despite a clean record and not being able to find any illegal guns. Yet they haven't charged him with any crimes and are refusing to say what even led to the raid.
I love her intro.
It's good.
Yeah.
The ATF doing ATF things is nothing new, but this story is a little different and a little odd because they actually found nothing and are giving zero information. We don't know what led to the raid, who signed off on it, where the complaint came from, or what even kicked off the investigation. We just know that it happened and that the feds also allegedly threatened to arrest both the man and his wife if he continued his community Second Amendment efforts. Because there's so few details and it's a big mystery, I almost didn't want to report on it, but then I figured that is exactly why the feds are trying to keep it quiet.
So I'm going to stop it there. It's interesting then, Mark, that she didn't interview or speak to you, but she immediately hit on the fact that they're trying to shut down your outreach stuff, educating people. I mean, there's got to be something like Michael Bloomberg behind this. Our friend at Flex Industries, we have another mutual friend that had this chain of very small retail gun stores, kind of like a boutique deal. I want to say, maybe they were 800 square feet on average. Okay.
Yeah.
And they went to open one in West Virginia, and I can't remember which small town it was.
Mm-hmm.
And this lady came after them hard, didn't want this gun store, started to say, it's close to a college campus and, high schools, middle schools, all this sort of stuff and everything. And it was really strange at the time, Mark, until somebody put two and two together, and they looked into this lady and they traced back her background, and she was part of Bloomberg, and Michael Bloomberg's money was essentially funding her.
Wow.
But without her saying, I'm from the Bloomberg group.
Yeah.
And it made sense, Mark, because as this thing escalated, right? So they leased the property. They got their business license. They're doing the build out. They're getting the store ready, and that takes time. So while they're doing that, this lady is leading this charge against them. And by the time it got right down to time to open the store, Lord only knows how much Bloomberg spent, but it was many, I would say tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars fighting this.
Wow.
But they were trying to make it look like it wasn't them. Like, this is not us. This is this grassroots lady doing this on her own. And it was anything but that. So
that's oh my God. I didn't mean to cut you off, Chris. But this story seems so similar to what has been happening to me, because not only have they been shutting down properties, I started building the ranges. My brother is he is a construction expert. I mean, he can literally build anything with his bare hands, and he has been building monumental backstops for me and range areas. Whereas though, I mean, we spent and invested thousands of dollars, and once we get finished, they had came and shut us down before we even started. Even though we talked to the county, we made sure that we're operating by their standards and we're within our rights. And something just something happens. I don't know. I've never got to the bottom of it. They send an injunction and they do a cease, on ceasefire.
Yeah, that's very suspect.
Yeah.
Like very, very suspect. I don't believe in coincidences, Mark. That's just,
Yeah, me neither.
I think everything unfolds the way it's supposed to for a specific reason. And I mentioned Todd Callender to you when we met, a while back.
Yeah.
I'm going to send him the brief from tonight, just so you know. So Todd Callender is a very notorious federal level attorney. He's the attorney who sued Lloyd Austin and the DOD over 400,000 troops having the mRNA injections forced on them. Okay. There were 51 attorneys. Todd was the lead attorney because he'd been to the Supreme Court before. He's also the CEO of a global insurance company along the lines of Berkshire Hathaway. And he also owns the Clout Hub social media platform. And he's got a podcast called Truth Be Told. And I have lots of experience with attorneys. I've been through plenty of lawsuits, both directions over my life. He is the most pugilistic attorney I have ever met. And he loves going toe to toe with the government. And I suspect that I'm going to connect y'all. I suspect that he will have some insight because he's a lot smarter than I am as far as this is not a grassroots thing where you volunteer to provide free training and education. And all of a sudden somebody gets an injunction saying, you can't have this guy.
Yeah.
That there's where there's smoke, there's fire is all I'm saying. Right.
Yep.
And I look forward to being at SHOT Show with you as well.
Yeah, me too. I look forward to it, Chris. Thank you again. Yeah.
Well, Mark, we got to get the word out on this stuff. And, we're not done yet. I've still got a couple tabs left to go here.
All right. I'm here.
Looking forward to doing a follow-up on this. And like I say, we'll get to Todd Callender involved as well. So next one up was from MTV Cribs, and it's 4 minutes long. I'll probably play half of it or so.
Yeah. This is one of my more comedic videos.
Okay. Yeah, this is good. This is really good. You did a great job, by the way.
Thank you.
Guys are tuning in MTV Cribs with Mark Choppa. Come check me out. Down, Pablo. See, we keep Pablo at the door. He's the security dog.
That's not my pit bull.
That's
all that people, we ain't doing none of that. We got the safe with all the artillery right in the living room. I couldn't get it in the basement. If you can get this safe out of this house, you deserve it. You get past the
I meant that too. It's so heavy.
The alarm, the camera system, the pit bull. This is my living room area. This is why I vibe at. I do a lot of family time right here. I keep the big boy right out here.
Soldier Boy reference.
Soldier Boy. They come up here, bow, 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 bow. Yeah. Just in case it get real sticky, we bringing out the SK, baby. Yeah. That's one of my favorites. Man, got blood on the bayonet. Come on, check out the dinner table. This is my table piece right here.
ATF was probably rubbing their hands on this video.
So let me get this straight. That stays on the dining room table all the time. Like that's just
it was just for humor, entertainment. Okay. Yeah,
fair enough. I was gonna say, man, you got a great wife if she lets you keep that stuff on the dining room table.
Absolutely not.
My babies, Mr. Choppa. I hear anything? We going right to the window. Revolver, Winchester. Yeah. We ready at all times, man. We ready at all times. All right. I'm going to take you to the kitchen area. This is Ms. Choppa. I ain't even supposed to be in here. All right. This is her area. We got the RPMB right here. Boom. Oh, it just got sticky. We watching the cameras, back, front, side. We watching
I love that, by the way. What a great place to have that pistol. And I'm going to play more of this, Mark, because you did a great job. It's a really good video. But do you remember a couple of years ago, on the story, the guy in Texas, he was in the bathroom and he'd taken his pistol with him, and somebody broke into his home.
Yeah.
And his bathroom door was open. And when they walked by the bathroom, they were armed, and he shot and killed them. And the only thing that saved him was that he took his gun to the bathroom with him.
Took his gun to the bathroom. I mean,
But,
you know, of course, this was more dramatic and animated. You know,
yeah.
Of course, majority of my firearms are in the safe, but you know, I definitely keep one or two out, you know, and available and ready.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a great spot. I know that had a biometric ID on it, so it's not like somebody else is going and taking that pistol out.
Yeah, yeah.
Safe is what I'm getting at. So, all right, let's play some more of this. We may end up just playing this whole video, Mark.
All right,
because you did such a good job.
Thank you.
Everything, man. Yeah, I gotta make sure the queen of the castle is well protected. All right, she got the whole scope of the whole perimeter, man. Yeah. Come on, y'all. Take you to the basement. All right, so you guys made it to the basement. This is where it all goes down, man. This is where the grown-ups be. The game nights, you know, the card games. We got the movie theater laid out. That's a super duper flat screen.
This is actually my old house.
And you know, we got a secondary safe. I can't even open that for y'all. You gonna need a warrant to get up in there.
I guess they
still
got their warrant.
Anyway, I'm here.
Yeah, tell me that's not a bit of irony, right? That
it is. It's big. I have a lot of videos I look at. I'm like, ATF literally been stalking my videos, and you know, it's no doubt about it.
100%.
Yeah.
Footsteps. We going right to the shotty, man. Semi-automatic. Got the drum on there, man. Hey, what's up? Yeah. I'm on that type of time. I'm really on that type of time. Yeah, we don't play in this household. This is my fort, man. Everything is protected up in here, man. All right. I'm gonna show y'all upstairs, the master bedroom. Let's go.
Hey, Mark.
I think the shotgun fell in that video.
So we're sending this out to half a dozen different platforms. One of them is Rumble, and I have to assume this is somebody from Europe. But where'd the quote go? It said something like, "You Americans are effing crazy."
Yeah, a little bit. Well, definitely wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
All right, so you guys made it to the top floor. Come check us out. My baby's room right here, man. Listen, they just as dangerous. These my angels, but Shorty in there playing Grand Theft Auto right now. She's ready to go. Ready to go. First thing first, hold, stand right there, because this is where the magic happens. Got the smoke grenades all bucked. I hear somebody coming, boom, we smoking them out. Then I'm coming back, come on. While they smoked out running around, we taking a bayoneto, and we ready to go, man. We at the top of the castle, laying them out. Bam, bam, bam. I'm gonna hit it with the Tony Montana. Yeah, bam. And that's it. This is Mark Choppa's fort, my castle. Thank you for tuning in to my MTV Cribs episode. Stay down.
Oh my God, that's awesome, Mark.
I haven't seen that video in a while.
That was good. It's funny, and you mentioned your pit bull. We've been rescuing pit bulls for years.
Yeah,
but this was yesterday, and
that's too cute.
You know, we're in sub 70-degree temperatures right now in Florida. So Florida pit bulls, they can't handle the sub 70-degree weather is too much.
Yeah.
But this our little girl here in the pink, she was a bait dog, and when we got her, she was on guard all the time, of course, around any other dogs. And she had a bigger brother, we called him, that was the best thing that ever happened to her. And then this is our new rescue here. He's just a little squirt, but
oh no, you guys are angels.
We love our pit bulls.
Yeah, we do too. I was so concerned about my pit bull Pablo. Well, it's actually my oldest daughter. It's her dog.
Okay.
Yeah, it's her dog, but you know, he's our grandchild. He's our baby. And when the ATF, you can hear him in the background going off, and when we initially stepped out, I'm like, I grabbed my children, but I didn't grab Pablo. Of course that, first thing I thought of was to grab my kids, but I'm like, I didn't grab my baby, So I started telling the agents like, hey, my dog is in there, and I know what y'all do to dogs, and I was serious. And it was like, where he called your name, so they allowed my wife to call him and get a hold of him. So after they viciously assaulted us, they start becoming polite. After they found nothing, their whole attitude changed, their whole energy changed.
Unreal.
Yeah. They seemed apologetic, but
Well, I mean, not only were you and your family in danger, I mean,
yeah,
it's hard to describe just how much danger you're in, because it's a tense situation. And, somebody even brushes a trigger and all of a sudden all hell's breaking loose. And then the next part, you mentioned it, is with the dogs. I've seen way too many videos of somebody's family pet killed who didn't deserve to be killed, and no accountability or repercussions as a result of that. And you said it. Those of us who are, dog lovers, they're part of the family.
they're part of the family,
It's, the crazy thing is, Mark, somebody said to me years ago, who was also a big dog person, he said to me, the only problem with dogs is that it always ends in heartbreak, because they just, they don't live long enough. And it's true. It's absolute heartbreak. But anyway, here's your YouTube channel. People can follow you there. And then I want to end with a snippet of a video. I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to have you describe it afterwards. So let's do this one here.
I think I was having some.
All right, so there's my buddy Black Rambo there.
So have you been there before?
I haven't, but
okay.
When Black Rambo was coming into Gainesville, I was working over that way. We spent some time together. My son was a big fan of him, so we FaceTime my son. I gave him my phone and he answered it. It was Black Rambo on the phone. He thought that was just the greatest thing. But walk me through what just happened there. I'm going to just preface it by saying that you were 100 yards away from a small target, an AR-500 target, and that everybody else had a chance to shoot. And then Mark Choppa comes along with a pistol at 100 yards, first shot.
We, so when you go over Rambo's house, he has a range in the back. You have to walk. It's about 100 yards. You have to walk to the range area through woods. I mean, it's a very, very narrow passageway, and there's a target. To even get to the range, you have to shoot that target, or there's going to be like some type of consequences, whether it's push-ups or whatever the case may be. Or you got to just keep shooting until you hit it. But I've been to his house quite a few times. Me and Rambo, we're very close. And because he has helped me tremendously when I first got into the 2A community, started making the videos and stuff, just introducing me to different manufacturers and so many people that was interested in sponsoring me and just giving me opportunities. And I'm forever grateful for Rambo. And yes, he's he's very animated for sure.
Yeah, but do me a favor here. I'd like you to answer this question for our audience.
Okay.
What is your perception of Black Rambo when the camera's on versus when the camera's off?
Oh my God, it's totally two different people.
Exactly.
He goes into a character.
Big time.
Off camera, let's just think about who he truly is as a he is a Marine. That is a fact.
Correct.
He is a father. Okay, a great father.
Right.
All right. And He is a brother that will help you and answer any questions or take pictures with you. He will sit down and have a conversation with someone for hours that he doesn't even know. That is the Rambo I know. When he goes on camera and starts acting all crazy, I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know that person. I know
Yeah.
him know that person just as well as the audience. That is a character that he puts on because it generates views, it generates controversy, people saying that, oh, he shouldn't act like that and with firearms. And some people say, well, he can act how he wants. He's being safe. The muzzle awareness is fine. The triggers fingers is off the trigger, so that is something that he does that brings a lot of engagement and it works for him. And clearly he gets millions and millions and millions of views. So who am I to
No,
say
I really appreciate you mentioning that, Mark, because
yeah.
when I first met him, actually it was our buddy from Flex Industries. He's like, hey man, Black Rambo's here. He's in the boardroom. Would you like to meet him? So I go in there, there's like 3 camera people, and they're getting all their lighting set up and this, that, and everything. And he's total chill. We talked to each other and he was nothing like he was when he was on camera. And then they had everything ready and they're like, okay, man, we're ready to go. And it's like he just flicked the switch, went into the persona.
Yeah.
And then it was done shooting, goes right back to complete normal. Nobody would believe that they didn't see it. I swear to God.
Yeah. I mean, it works for him. But I wish more people really got to know him personally because he gets judged a lot, and it's just, it's just one of those things, when you play a character, of course people are gonna, people gonna have different feelings and emotions about you. So
you know him better than I do. Suffice it to say, at the end of the day, he's a pretty good guy.
Yeah.
And the other thing I'll just mention before we wrap up on the first chapter here, Mark, is that every single person that has been in his presence that was kind of starstruck and said, hey man, can I get a picture with you? He's super obliging. Like he'll stop whatever he's doing to get a picture with people. He's a really decent guy.
I've been with him in all over the world, and not once has he ever denied a fan or anyone access to him, whether it's a picture or a conversation, and that takes a lot of, that takes some real decency as a human being.
100%. So, Mark, before you go, where can everybody find you online?
Mark Choppa, MarkChoppa. That's my Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, Mark Choppa TV.
Awesome. Okay. And we've got a link down below in the description for anybody who wants to help you out with your legal expenses, which this is important for everybody in the gun community. So it's not just Mark's situation. If this can happen to Mark, a school teacher, no criminal records, absolutely no evidence to suggest that he had done anything out of line. If it can happen to him, it can happen to any of us. So strengthening things on our side of the equation. I think we talked about this beforehand. Hopefully we're going to see with this new administration that the ATF and FBI and DOJ might be in a little bit more kept in check compared to what they've been. I'm sure now that I've said that, they'll be at my door tomorrow. But
I was about to say, watch it, Chris. All right.
Well, thankfully I've got Todd Callender as a good friend. But listen, Mark, I really, really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you for your listeners and your supporters. Like I said, we are just grateful. We are so grateful, and it's good to see us come together as a community and stand up. Because this was unforgivable, man. This was something I just can't believe the overwhelming support that we have been getting from people that's in the community that I've never known. I never, heard of, all these 2A enthusiasts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, wow, we're building,
I mean, I'm sure you've got a great attorney, Mark. And when this escalates to the civil side of things, there's probably a pretty compelling argument to be made that yourself, your wife, and your daughters, there could be an element of PTSD, going forward, because I know for me, I've been through some pretty crazy wrecks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'll wake up in a cold sweat because I think I'm back in that situation again. And I didn't go anything through what you've gone through, but I mean, those are scars, right?
It's funny. It's not funny you said that, but it's familiar. It's familiar you say that, because I'm very aware of the cold sweats at 4:00 in the morning. And my children have seen me up roaming the house, in my underwear with my firearm, because I'm hearing something, so I'm always kind of alert and up. I'm a very light sleeper, and I just thank God that we were awake when this situation transpired, because it could have went another way.
Mark, there's probably, I know I'm trying to be conscious of your time, and I really do appreciate you coming on, but there's probably grounds for some discussions going forward. That I understand the law enforcement side, that, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to go to the person's home when they're asleep so that we get the element of surprise, blah, 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 blah. But I think that instead of having an SOP, like a standard operating procedure across the board, there's probably some times where it might not make sense to do this, right?
Yeah.
So
especially when you have small children.
Absolutely.
And we didn't even touch on the fact that my son was flash bombed as well in the basement, because he has his own apartment in the basement. And when they brought us out, they were asking, where's your son? Where's your son? But they had already flash banged him, bust down his door. His door was completely bust down. And mind you, these flash bangs, when they hit a wooden floor, it puts a hole into the floor. So they completely destroyed his living area, and he was waking up with 12, 13 rifles in his face while he's in his pajamas and his hands is up, and they're threatening to unalive my son.
Yeah.
So
crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean. So we've got one of the guys on our team, 30-year master EOD tech. So 23 years in the military, and then bought the oldest EOD, privately owned EOD company in the country. And we were in Nevada filming a TV show in Pahrump at the old front site. It's called Prairie Fire now. And just by fluke, Enola Gay is there. So Enola Gay makes a lot of those flashbangs, super high quality stuff. And the girl there who runs that place, she spent some time with us and showed some of the toys that they have. And it's pretty advanced stuff. It's stuff you and I can't buy. You essentially have to be law enforcement or military to buy them. But either way, Mark, we'll talk before SHOT Show. And actually, Mike will be with us at SHOT Show, as well as both of our wives. So would love to catch dinner with you all while we're out there. We're out there for 7 days, Monday to Monday, the 20th to the 27th. Absolutely. And expect to hear from Todd Callender's producer sometime in the near future. It'll either be John Davidson or Melissa McAtee, one of the two. Other than that, Mark, really appreciate your time. Appreciate you bringing, the light to this, and hopefully nobody else goes through what you went through anytime soon.
Thank you. Thank you for hearing me and allowing me to come on your platform to spread my story, to tell my story, and
absolutely my pleasure, Mark. We've got a short message from one of our sponsors, Sawyer Products, and then I will be back with chapter 2. Thanks again, Mark.
Thank you.
The Sawyer Mini is the most versatile personal filtration system available. It's a perfect solution for backpacking, hiking, hunting, fishing, scouting, international travel, and emergency preparedness. At a mere 2 ounces, the Mini fits in the palm of your hand and can filter up to 100,000 gallons of water from any freshwater lake, river, or stream. The Sawyer Mini has a 0.1 micron absolute pore size. It was tested to 10 million parts of bacteria and 1 million parts of protozoa without a single breakthrough. This is the highest level filters can be tested to, so we're confident these are the highest rates of filtration available.
All right. right, and we're back. I probably have somewhere around a dozen news headlines for chapter 2, and then I think I went a little bit overboard on memes for chapter 3 tonight, which is how the brief ended up 64 pages long. So we may not get through all 64 pages, but we'll go ahead and we'll get started. And we discussed at length last night the situation with Matthew Leibelsberger, the Green Beret, who the official narrative is that he shot himself in the head and then detonated the Cybertruck in front of Trump's hotel in Vegas. I almost said Trump Tower, but it's not a tower, just a hotel. So Patriot Lady posted this. This story keeps going down deeper and deeper rabbit holes. Turns out the Las Vegas Cybertruck suspect and Green Beret Matthew Leibelsberger took part in a military reality competition on the History Channel. His partner Tim Kelly and Matthew Leibelsberger won the competition. Kelly said he was a great Green Beret.
It's a reality show that pits teams of elite soldiers from around the world against each other.
Matt and Tim from the U.S. Army Special Forces, better known as the Green Berets.
Matthew Leibelsberger and his partner Tim Kelly, both Green Berets, appeared on the Ultimate Soldier Challenge 12 years ago on the History Channel. They not only won, it wasn't even close.
You know, for television, they always try to make it a little bit more competitive, but we swept the whole entire show.
When he appeared on the show, Leibelsberger used a shortened version of his name, Matt Bird. So it took Tim Kelly a while to put 2 and 2 together.
And then I saw a Matt Berg with a older photo of him, and I was like, oh no, dude, I know that guy. And then it just like tore my heart out because he was a really great Green Beret.
And what was he like?
He was charming. He was talented. He was personable. He was kind. He was all the things that you would expect from a Green Beret.
At one point during the show, Leibelsberger lost his cool in the 90-plus degree heat.
I'm about to throw up, man. I got heat exhaustion, man. I need to take this off right now.
Tim Kelly says he hadn't heard from Leibelsberger for a few years.
It just categorically does not make sense. From everything that I have heard, he was universally valued by his team, by his peers. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. And it is just horrifically heartbreaking.
All right. So all of you who were with us last night caught our coverage on the Sam Shoemate and Sean Ryan discussion earlier in the day. Yesterday, we had Lieutenant Colonel Doc Pete Chambers on, who's a personal friend of mine, and Sam works for him. And I'm not going to recap it all. You can go ahead and watch it. Just make sure you watch the one that says audio remixed. We actually have an audio mixer coming tomorrow that my phone will plug into. Pardon me. So next time we won't have the phone, or I won't have the phone trying to perched up by my microphone. It'll actually be patched into our streaming software. But I do want to say one thing. So there's been a lot of people throwing stones Sam's direction, and I'm going to tell you right now that Sam is not a liar, and he would never fabricate anything. And I saw one person get on their high horse and say, well, look, he made up this manifesto from Leibelsberger because there's red squiggly lines underneath the words that the spell check thinks are misspelled. And here's the deal. Take an email that you get from somebody that has spelling mistakes in it and hit reply and scroll down to the first message. You will see spell check pick up the words from the first person's email that it thinks are spelled wrong. I'm not sure why that's when Sam screenshotted it, but what I suspect, because he's a very smart guy, is he clicked reply to Matthew Leibelsberger's email so that at the top of the screen it said this email was from this person at this time. This was the subject. Here's the content. And again, the spell check picked up the stuff from a previous email, but there's no freaking way that Sam Shoemate fabricated anything on this. And I'll leave it at that. There's a good chance that we'll have Doc Pete back on soon, possibly Sam. I've offered him to use our platform as much as he wants. He doesn't need me to defend him or anything like that. But the stupidity of, the squiggly marks, is easily explained. And Glock 316 is right here. I'm not sure why they got Tim Kennedy's name wrong in that video. Maybe he was using a pseudonym for that particular show. I don't know. But Glock 316 is absolutely right. Tim Kennedy, not Tim Kelly. But moving on to the next one. And actually, I think I've got one or two more that are related to Livelsberger. So this is the letter found after the incident. These definitely sound bogus. I won't read all of it, but I'll give you the gist of it. This is supposedly letters that Livelsberger wrote just before he supposedly committed suicide. And we don't even know for sure that he's the body that they recovered in that truck. But again, I'll try not to go too far down that rabbit hole tonight. We are the United States of America, the best country people to ever exist. But right now we are terminally ill and headed towards collapse. We are crumbling because of a lack of self-respect, morals, and respect for others. You'll notice there's lots of spelling mistakes here, by the way. Greed and gluttony has consumed us. The top 1% decided long ago they weren't going to bring everyone else with them. You are cattle to them. We have strayed from family values and corrupted our minds, and I am a prime example of having it all, but it never being enough. A lot of us are just sitting around waiting to die. No sunlight, no steps, no fresh air, no hope. Our children are addicted to screens by the age of 2. We are filling our bodies with processed foods. So here's all I'm going to say on this. This is not consistent with Livelsberger and the people that we know at Survival Dispatch that were either acquainted with him or acquainted with people who served with him. There was a false narrative being spread that he was a hardcore liberal because of his ex-wife. It's actually one of the reasons him and his ex-wife broke up is because she was a hardcore liberal Obama supporter. He was not. He did not have a victim mentality like this. This guy was a very high functioning soldier, very high functioning person, period. And the narrative that's spun in these letters that the FBI released, or maybe it was Las Vegas Metro PD, either way, very not consistent with who Livelsberger's reported to be. So on to the next one. I'm curious to know your thoughts on this as well. ISIS is a terrorist organization, and anyone who associates with that flag and or chanting should be arrested. By not arresting them, the government is simply demonstrating that free speech is only granted to one side. When individuals were carrying American and Trump flags during the J6 incident, they were arrested even if they were merely near the Capitol. Make it make sense. Minute and 22-second video.
Hey, leftists, I need you to explain a contradiction. That person did what they did in New Orleans while flying a IISS flag on the back of their truck. Today in New York City, we're seeing that same IISS flag being flown by people celebrating what that person did. They're calling for an intifada in the United States on our soil. And I don't hear you crying and bitching and complaining and screaming. Yet if somebody would have done that with a Confederate flag and somebody be flying a Confederate flag, you'd be losing your ever-loving shit. Now, I don't support the Confederate flag before you come at me for that. But they are flying a flag that does not represent a country. It does not represent a religion. It represents an extremist ideology. It represents an organization that the world, including the United States, has deemed a threat. But yet it's okay for them to fly that on the streets of New York City and you guys not do anything about it. That is a literal enemy combatant flag being flown on the streets of the United States right after somebody attacks the United States with that on the back of their truck, and you're not losing your shit.
So I agree with most of what this gentleman had to say. I don't know him. I've never seen him before. We've had this discussion though on Survival Dispatch news previously though, and none of us on our team are in favor of infringing upon people's right to free speech and First Amendment rights. I would actually go a level deeper and basically say these people who we've let into the country have got to be sent back. And you can argue till the cows come home whether they're right or we're right. Personally, I believe we're right, meaning America, but they are not compatible with American values and beliefs. Full stop. End of story. And there's not one instance in history where two diametrically opposed cultures have occupied one spot and both of them have ended up prospering. Doesn't happen. One always takes over. So let's talk some of the craziness today from Potato Head Joe Biden. Giving people these presidential medals of freedom. So here he is giving one to Jose Andre, or Andreas, maybe, who appears in photos with Trump's would-be assassin. So here he is right here, same guy. This is him getting his medal today, participation medal. And here he is posing with Ryan Ruth. So what's the connection there? No idea, but kind of fishy. Doesn't smell good. Next one up here. Biden gave Hillary Clinton the Presidential Medal of Freedom. DEI award, didn't earn it. I'm not going to play the video. It's 26 seconds of wasted time that we don't need to worry about. Next one up, Biden gives George Soros an award. So George Soros wasn't there. He's wherever in Europe. I think he's not too far from death, but that's his son, Alex Soros, right here, who received the Medal of Honor on his father's behalf. So all the leftists, and you know, I've been critical of Elon in the past. I've been critical of him recently. I don't like the way that he's tried to stamp out people's voices who disagree with him on H-1B. But if the left want to complain about Elon Musk, then they need to take out Alex Soros and his shitbag father, George Soros, because it's no different. It's just two different sets of billionaires with, you know, opposing views on how the world should be and how America should be run. So moving on to the next one, Cat Turd reposted this. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pigeons. New York City halal food vendor caught catching live pigeons and bringing them back to his halal food truck. So you may remember when there was an incident in Ohio, the name of the town's escaping me right this minute, and people were reporting that these Haitian refugees were eating people's pets, cats in particular. And there's one video that's pretty disturbing of this Haitian lady in her driveway eating the neighbor's cat raw. And everybody lost their shit saying that it was racist to say this thing. And then people who are of Haitian descent or originally from Haiti said, no, that's a delicacy in our culture. But the minute you say anything against anybody else, you're immediately tagged with the label of being a racist. Complete bullshit, but I'll save us the trouble of going down that rabbit hole tonight. Next one up. Starting next week, Philadelphia police won't arrest teenagers or kids for disorderly conduct, which includes fighting, threatening, and taking control of a public or private educational institution without permission. No more arrests for retail theft or vandalism, car thefts, burglaries, or simple assault, which in Pennsylvania is a crime that involves intentionally or recklessly causing bodily harm to another person. But arresting parents for wanting a better quality education for their children outside of their school zip code remains as a third-degree felony, with up to 7 years in prison. So this first image is basically saying, look, we're not going to arrest any of these kids under 18 for committing all these crimes. Kind of sounds like what's been going on in California for years, not just for kids. And here's an article on a couple who could end up being put in prison because they sent their child to a school not in their zip code. Make it make sense. Moving on to the next one. So we've discussed this topic at length, not just New York City, but across the country. So you've got pre-2020 cops and post-2020 cops. And what does that mean? So pre-2020, these are officers who, for the most part, weren't demonized by the left. They weren't part of the defund the police movement, et cetera, et cetera. Well, no big surprise. Many cops retired early or quit because of Derek Chauvin being railroaded into jail. You know, George Floyd died of a fentanyl overdose. He had two different types of fentanyl in him. And the video that's been finally released from the other angle shows his knee on his shoulder blade, not on his neck. But we won't go too deep into that, but will suffice it to say that law enforcement across the country is understaffed, and it's a direct result of defunding the police plus the demonization. So look at these numbers here for NYPD. New York City Police Department is facing a significant challenge in recruitment, with applicant numbers dropping by more than 55% over the last 8 years, from 18,000 to 8,000. I mean, it's a huge number. What's ironic is you don't have to look too hard to find Democrat politicians who were all in favor of defund the police, but then ended up in a situation where, say, there was a home invasion and they needed the police, and then they get pissed off because there's no police to respond to them, or they responded too late. I mean, if there's a lesson there for everybody, you are your own first responder. All right, next one up. This is Banana Republic bullshit here. Trump sentencing scheduled amid no jail time indication. Former President Donald Trump is set to be sentenced on January 10th for his conviction in the New York hush money case. Despite the conviction, the judge, Juan Merchan, has indicated that no jail time will be imposed. This decision comes in the wake of Trump's unsuccessful attempt to have the case dismissed following his recent election victory. Okay, first and foremost, this judge is from Colombia, and there's some question as to whether or not he's actually a citizen. He may just be on a green card. Todd Callender has some researchers working on that. I can't say one way or the other, but let's just say it's alleged that he's not actual citizen. His daughter has taken in millions of dollars from Democrat PACs. He has donated money to Democrat presidential campaigns and other campaigns over the years. It's a clear conflict of interest for him. And he also gave faulty instructions to the jury. So you've got misdemeanor charges that the statute of limitations that expired on. They tried to mash them all together and say these are a felony without naming the felony that he supposedly committed. And then he said to the jury, if 4 of you vote to convict on the first charge, and 4 of you vote to convict on the second count, I should say, and 4 of you vote to convict on the third count, I'll just add them up together. That's 12 people. That's unanimous, and we'll convict. That is not the way our system works, and is complete BS. And why is it complete BS? Because the Democrats in particular are the party of a headline that they want. Okay, so Christopher Wray goes in front of the FBI. Donald Trump wasn't shot. It was debris from the teleprompter. Next thing you know, all the left wing or legacy media is saying Donald Trump wasn't shot. Christopher Wray says he wasn't shot. They got their headline. 48 hours later, they release a letter saying, Christopher Wray spoke out of turn, and yes, Donald Trump was shot in the head with a 223-556 sort of thing, right? So it's one of the reasons you see on Survival Dispatch News anything written. The truth is a footnote. Find it here. And we came up with that tagline because the truth in the example I just gave is 48 hours later how they release the truth, but it's just a footnote because they got their headline that they wanted. They want the headline that Donald Trump is a convicted felon. You can't be convicted until you've been sentenced. And that's all this baloney is over. Unbelievable. Like I said, this is stuff you would expect from a third world banana country. Next one up, Pakistani Muslim in UK attacks a model because her ankles and wrists are visible. Why do they force us to live with them? So I'm going to be a little judgmental here, but if you watch this guy, especially in the eyes and some of his other mannerisms, most of these invaders are inbred and they have recessive genes as a result of that. And this guy looks pretty inbred to me. You can call me racist all you want, whatever, but this is a great example of not being compatible with Western culture. Yet they've raped 250,000 British women and young girls, and this is what they want. I mean, you got to hear it for yourself.
This here is not Salwar Kameez. This Salwar Kameez has been made to turn into for the streets. I'll explain to you why. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? Sis, why the fuck is your Salwar 3/4? 3/4 the Salwar, yeah? Boom, now you can see through the motherfucking arms. She's wearing a banana with fucking cotton all down here. You can see everything, bruv. Boom, now she ain't got no knockers. Otherwise, this Salwar Kameez would have looked even more fucked. This is crazy, bro. I ain't even gonna lie. Why the fuck do sisters do this shit? If you're gonna wear a Salwar Kameez, wear it with class. This ain't classy. This is trashy. I had to put it out there because sisters don't listen. So I had to cover the face because we ain't trying to do that. We ain't trying to, you get me? I got it Google still. But what I tried to do was get
and that's enough of that bullshit. So suffice it to say, I'm very steadfast in my position. This is not compatible with our culture, does not belong here. And if you don't like me saying that, too bad. All right, moving on to the next one. Check this out. Same topic. A 16-year-old English girl abused by 100 Pakistani Muslims. And this was from September 12th, 2018. Trafficked girl slept with over 100 Asian men. Most people don't realize India, Pakistan, and all the way through to the Orient is considered Asian. They like to use the word Asian in Europe in particular and Great Britain, because most people don't connect Asian to being Pakistani or Indian. This is horrible stuff that's happened over there. They've tried to sweep it under the rug. They put Tommy Robinson in jail for publishing documentaries on this subject. There is no way, and I've said this with regards to our government, but there's no way to explain the European governments, whether it be, England, Germany, whatever, their behavior other than they are under the direct control of our enemies. There's no other way you can square this stuff. And it's absolutely disgusting. Moving on to the next one. So I'll give CNN credit for bringing Scott Jennings into the fold. He's the one and only person on CNN who makes any sense and doesn't repeat the Mockingbird media stuff. And this one here, Scott Jennings takes a flamethrower to the corrupt lawfare waged against Trump in New York.
In fact, many believe the tide changed when it was even filed as a criminal charge against him. People started to lean in more. But now that he's won, does the next set of events even matter in terms of what the judge will do?
Well, look, I think it matters because it's another reminder that radical Democrat political activists abuse the criminal justice system in New York, all to create a political talking point. Look, Ellie is exactly right, our legal analyst here. This would have never been charged this way if it weren't Donald Trump and he weren't running for president. Should have never been charged this way. He should have never faced this. It was all done so they could call him a convicted felon during the campaign, which, of course, they succeeded at. What they miscalculated is that the American people knew from the get-go that it was partisan politics, and they soundly rejected this in November. So Trump's, I guess, going to get one more bite at the apple here to make the point that these Democrats in New York elected, Alvin Bragg elected, Marchand elected, these people are elected by the people, and they took their jobs in public service and used them for political ends instead of using all of their time to throw the bad people in New York, which there are plenty of them on the streets, in jail. That's the real lasting impact of this, the abuse of the system for political purposes when New York City is descending into a hellhole right now.
So actually, Scott Jennings brings up a good point there. I want to back up to this ongoing, rape gangs, grooming gangs, whatever you want to call them in Great Britain. Over 3,000 hardened criminals have been released early from the prison system in Great Britain this year to make room for British citizens who published something on social media that caused somebody else anxiety, that painted these invaders in a bad light. Therefore, these are scum of the earth. We need to throw them in jail. I mean, it's not just our legal system. Their legal system is an absolute travesty and a mess as well. All right, next one up, and I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. We were lured here, so here means Twitter or X, for the promise of free speech. We all jumped at the opportunity to pay the support to support the movement that leveled the playing field. We championed Elon and supported and welcomed him with open arms as he joined Mega. Then we watched as account after account was demonetized, stolen subscribers, and eventually suspended. Now we're told to zone out on entertainment content, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, only share positive content, and pretend the world isn't burning down around us. So that's a reply to a post that Elon made that said, algorithm tweak coming soon to promote more informational, entertaining content. We will publish the changes to @XENG. Our goal is to maximize unregretted user seconds. Too much negativity is being pushed that technically grows user time, but not unregretted user time. I'm not familiar with that KPI ever being used in the past, key performance indicator, but there it is. So here's the problem with everything that's happened on X and with Elon is some people very vocally disagreed with his position on H-1B visas. He said that he would go to war over it. And in very short order, some prominent conservatives who are against H-1B, they lost their verified status. So when you lose your verified status, you're now limited to 140 characters per post. You can't have subscribers. You can't be monetized, and you don't get any favored coverage, like exposure, I should say. And, it's the old saying, the old boss or the new boss, same as the old boss, kind of comes to mind here. Elon, I give him credit for opening up an element of free speech that probably saved the election for our side. But at the end of the day, he is not the Messiah. He's not infallible. I wouldn't say, though, it's black and white. It's not like he's downright evil. There's shades of gray in the middle. But suffice it to say, Elon Musk, I'll just leave it there because this is being broadcast his platform. I'll be the next one who gets deplatformed. It's happened several times this year. All right. So this is a good post on Donald Trump's behalf. Here's end of chapter 2. There's never been a president who is so evilly and illegally treated as I. Corrupt Democrat judges, prosecutors have gone against a political opponent of a president, me, at all levels of injustice never seen before. Corrupt judges or judges so blinded by their hatred of me and my political ideology to make America great again are making a mockery of the United States judicial system, and the world is watching in disgust. Deranged Jack Smith, the evil and sinister prosecutor appointed by crooked Joe Biden to take me down, was found to be illegally appointed by corrupt DOJ and FBI, and all of his many charges against me were dropped or dismissed. His illegal raid of my home, Mar-a-Lago, will go down as one of the dirtiest tricks ever perpetuated by one candidate, or perpetrated, I should say, by one candidate, a dumb as a rock, sleepy Joe Biden on another. With all of this said, I still have confidence that the appellate courts will bring justice to America. And let's hope that that's the case, because this pattern of the lawfare that he described in that post, this is something we would expect from a third world country and not from supposedly the greatest country in the world, which I'm fond of saying myself, but things like that certainly get under my skin and make me wonder. So before we go to the zany headlines and funny memes, and again, we might not make it through all of them because again, 64 pages for the sit rep tonight. I think I went a little bit overboard on the memes tonight. I will say that I want to give a shout out to our friends at Black Forest Supplements. I do not get any affiliate money from them. I don't have a code for you. I'm just telling you that this product for me has radically increased my energy level. I will tell you, they sent 5 bottles of this, no charge, which was nice of them. I've been taking this now for over 7 months. I can go a month taking this, stop taking it for a couple of days. My energy level literally falls off a cliff. Be 56 next month. Recovery and energy is super important to me, which is why I also want to give a shout out to our friends at Native Hydrate, which is part of a company called Native Path, a very astute doctor in Texas. These are the best tasting branch chain amino acids I've ever tried. And keep in mind, I've been training since the early 1980s, competed on our national powerlifting team, blah, 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 and have taken everything over the counter you can possibly imagine. This passed the taste test, number 1. Number 2, we'll do a better job of hydrating you. Number 3, if you're drinking sweet teas and sodas and you switch to this, I will guarantee you within 24 hours, you will see a tangible improvement in your energy level. So, all right, let's get going here. So this first one's pretty crazy. This is from the Internet Hall of Fame. Bro, ready to survive the apocalypse.
You got 35 weapons. Show me you right now. What is that? Ooh, samurai. That boy, that is a monster. Let me see what else you got. Who do you think you is, Hawkeye? God damn. Hold on, wait. Let him show his weapons. Boy, this nigga is not bullshit.
Good, man. Look, we got the black RoboCop right here in the flesh. You don't play with this nigga cook.
All right, man, keep it going. We ain't got to talk about it.
Don't play with him cook. He gonna kill you. He gonna stab you cook. He gonna shoot you cook. He on the outside cook. Don't play with him cook.
Man, this nigga can go on a goddamn. Boy, you can go into
man, what else you got, man?
Back with 6 lions,
man, what else you got, man?
He got guns down there by his shoes.
Man, you ain't got no gun in your shoe.
Yes, oh, there go them knuckles.
Red knuckles.
You been in that county before, I see, boy. Oh, that boy got bulldogs on him.
Oh my God.
Boy, you ready to fight all the deals we see on the way here right now, man. We seen about 30 deals. You the real Blake.
Anyway, this guy keeps pulling one thing after another out of his apparel there. So move on to the next one. This is a pretty interesting list, actually. Alphabetical list of white DEI hires: Anthony Blinken, Sam Brenton, Pete Buttplug, Liz Cheney, Merrick Garland, Jennifer Granholm, Mazie Hirono, John Kerry, Amy Klobuchar, Rachel Levine, Mark Milley, Gina Raimondo, Adam Schiff, Jake Sullivan, Eric Swalwell, Elizabeth Warren, and every white Soros DA. And oh, by the way, Nancy Pelosi. And yes, I know how to pronounce her name properly. That's what I've been calling her for years. All right, this next one. My wife and I watched this last night, and clearly not enough time to play all 50 of them. I'm just going to play the first few of them. You can look this up. It's at Don't Walk Run on Twitter or X, or if you're an insider at our Patreon, you can download tonight's brief sit rep, 64 pages long. All the links to everything like this are in there, but let's pull this up and have a quick listen.
This is Joe Biden, the resident of the United States. Since Biden took office.
By the way, this guy always refers to Joe Biden as the resident, not the president, which is right. Stolen elections have consequences.
Back in January 2021, Biden has made countless bloopers, blunders, and gaffes. Here are some examples.
Right now, in all 50 states in the District of Columbia, we have roughly 350 million people vaccinated in the United States. There are more corporations incorporated in America than every other state in America combined. By the way, I'm proud to be, as I said, the first vice president, first black woman to serve with a black president. 14 million new jobs since I became president. 169 new jobs in Wisconsin. I know how important this tunnel is.
169 new jobs in Wisconsin.
Commuter rail. But this tunnel is a major checkpoint for 9 million Amtrak and MARC computer rail passengers who pass through it each and every year. Not a joke. Think about it. Think about what you'd think about at the time.
In case y'all didn't catch that, think about what you think about. My God, what an embarrassment. Oh, this one is classic, though. Let me back this up.
This is not about Japan. It's not. And you have watched this president really, in the last 4 years, strengthen his relationship with our allies, obviously abroad. And, we have worked certainly together to strengthen our economic partnership with Japan. We have been in touch with Japan and conveyed.
Oh my God, this AI is out of freaking control. Too freaking funny. All right, so here we are with dollar store Obama, and this is quite the Freudian slip that he has here. Let me just get it pulled up for y'all. All right, here we go.
American dream possible. We will fight hard for the freedom to vote. American dream possible. We will fight hard,
So he's not just going to fart, he's going to fart hard. Okay, sounds good. Moving on to the next one here. Which of the following is morally wrong? Hitting your wife, slavery, marrying a child, or eating bacon? And clearly you can see in their world that eating bacon is the worst of them all. All right, next one up. Stay alert. The media is the virus. Keep safe distance from CNN, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, and MSNBC. All right, make no mistake. Obama was not a president. He was a sleeper cell terrorist groomed and planted in office to overthrow our government. And for anybody who wants to know who's been running the country, John Brennan has been running Obama, who in turn has been running this admin. Next one up. Labor chiefs. It's okay to have sex with 10-year-olds. What the F? I mean, this is seriously the state of things in England and Great Britain. It's just mind-blowing. Next one up. Joe Biden. My work here is almost done. And the toughness scale. Wood is moderately tough. Steel's tough. Diamond's very tough. Terrorist ID, absolutely indestructible. So this is related, of course, to supposedly Matthew Livesberger's ID surviving the blast in the Tesla Cybertruck. I'm sure some of you will be upset to hear this, but she won't date you. Oh, darn. The best thing to do at this point is buy a gun, mind your business, and protect your family. Our country is no longer safe. I am not an attorney. I'm not giving you legal advice, just to be clear. And another one from our friend Barry Sotero. Before my presidency, there was no ISIS, there was no caliphate, there was no Black Lives Matter, there was no Antifa, there was no war on police. I built that. And yes, he did. And here's another one of the crazy mentally ill. Check it out. Hello, I'm Sammy, 43-year-old lesbian. What a coincidence. I've been a lesbian my entire life as well, but I don't look like that. Give me 2 seconds here, just because we do not have a producer. I desperately need a producer, but I got to tee up the next round of memes for y'all. Just bear with me for a few more seconds and we'll get back on track. Who knows? Maybe we'll make a run for it. Maybe we'll get all 64 pages through tonight. Probably not, but what the heck? We'll try. All right. First rule of gun safety: never let the government take your guns. I concur. Gun safety tip number 1, carry one. I can agree with that as well. New Orleans police, NOLA police, the terrorists circumvented our barricades and other security. Reporter, what other security? NOLA police. We had no guns and no driving on sidewalk signs. Yeah, so if you post a no guns allowed sign, then you won't have any guns or bad things happen. Next one up. Muslim scholar says it's okay to rape non-Muslim women to humiliate them. This is what we're up against. Next one up here. Islamism ruined Britain. Don't let it ruin America. I'm not exactly sure why they used the picture of the Tesla Cybertruck here. They probably would have been better off using the Ford Lightning in New Orleans, which was an actual Muslim. And next one up, don't trust the prostitutes. Amen to that. So give me a second to queue up the next batch of memes. We got some good ones coming up here. Stuff cracks me up. We didn't publish a whole lot of memes last week because we had so much going on in the news cycle, but I collect memes every single day and I put them in a file, and I wanted to try and get caught up today. So I dumped them all into tonight's sit rep. And that's why you have to bear with me for a minute. One of these days, I swear I'll have a producer to assist with all of this stuff and have everything queued up and ready to roll without me having to do it. But apparently that's not happening just yet. All right, here we go. Next round of memes. What to do with your mask. Fold mask up very small. Moisten mask with water or water-based lubricating jelly, such as KY. Lie on your side, left side, and bend your right knee up towards your chest. Take your mask and gently insert it into the rectum. That is the most polite method of saying shove your mask up your ass that I have come across so far. All right. And unfortunately, the great state of Texas is hurting these days from all of the California imports. Don't mess with trans kids. Of course, this was an anti-littering campaign back in the early 90s in Texas. Don't mess with Texas, but now they've co-opted it to don't mess with trans kids. All right. There's no such thing as trans kids. There's only trans adults who infect their children and end up mentally ill. All right. 100% American, 0% liberal. That would make a great t-shirt. I would hazard to guess. I bet you there is a t-shirt out there like that. And back to Great Britain. Why are you covering this up? So this is meant to be the British public, and this is Keir Starmer, the leader. And I'm going to expose the scandal. So this could actually be Tommy Robinson. And then you have the police hauling the person off who's exposed everything, because telling the truth will get you thrown in prison and locked up for extended periods of time in Great Britain. Golly, I mean, I thought that Europe and Britain, for the most part, are lost. And here we go. Liberals and Muslims. They want to fight for Muslims, but the Muslims actually hate them as much or more than anybody. Who is perpetrating terrorist attacks in the U.S.? Cars are responsible for 30%. Trump's tweets 7%. Victims of transphobia 23%. Incels 11%, and white nationalists of color 29%. That's an oxymoron if I've ever seen one. All right, here we go. Cocaine was found at Biden's house. A dead body was found at Obama's house. A male prostitute was found at Pelosi's house, Piglosi. An illegal server was found at Clinton's house. So the FBI raided Trump's house. Makes sense. All right. Next one up here. Happy Pride Month. When I saw this one, all I could think to myself is, oh my God, it's Pat. And for those of you who are, 50 plus years old, you remember Pat from Saturday Night Live. Is it a guy or a girl? We don't know. It's a Pat. It was a pretty funny skit back in the day. All right. Hey, men, do you dry off your face after a shower with the same towel you used to dry your balls, or do you have a separate ball towel? First answer, you start with the face, then head on down. The towel forgets everything by tomorrow. Oh, my God. And here we go. Hakeem Jeffries, the dollar store Obama. Fart, fart, fart. You got Eric Swalwell, who's farting on air during interviews. Quite the gong show, to say the least. Next one up. Here we go. So let's play a quick little game here. Regardless of what platform you're on, if you have live chat to the side of your screen, I want you to put a 1 if you think this is a guy, and I want you to put a 2 if you think it's a female. I'll come back and check all these chats in, say, a few minutes, and we'll see what the rankings are. So 1 if you think it's a guy, 2 if you think it's a female, 3 if you think it's a Pat. You can go there as well if you want. And we already played that meme, so we can get rid of that. And that means, just bear with me here. All right, there we go. I'm this old. So an ancient, looks like an 8088 or 8086 computer, TV dinners, pencil sharpener, and love letters from back in the day. That's too freaking funny. All right, give me a second to get the next batch of memes queued up. We got some more funny ones. As long as you all hang with me, I will keep going through the memes until we get through all 64 pages of the sit rep. If you all want to hang with me, nothing wrong with ending the night, ending the week with a smile on your face and a laugh at somebody else's expense, typically in these memes. Oh my God, I've got some really good ones coming up here, like really, really good ones. All right, we're just about ready to go here with the next batch. Let me just mark my spot. All right, and here we go. Toxic masculinity is a major problem. 43% of boys are raised by single mothers, and 78% of teachers are female. So the answer, so it's actually a lack of masculinity that's the problem. And my buddy Jason Sawyer and his buddies in North Georgia, close to where we have our cabin there, they formed the U.S. Men's Academy as an answer to the Boy Scouts going to hell in a handbasket. And they heavily promote the concept of more masculinity. Next one up, I guess, I'm assuming that Joe Biden's going to liquor or did liquor, but we don't have that on film. Regardless of how you feel about guns, you should learn about the historical truths of disarmed populations. And that's a mouthful right there. The first time Tom Homan arrests city officials for the felony of harboring criminals, there won't be enough popcorn to watch the meltdowns. James Woods, super smart guy, super funny statement. Can't wait to see it myself. And Donald Trump posted, I want to say this was yesterday. Trump was right about everything. And that's pretty much on the money. All right, next one up. I don't know what this country is or what country this is, but they have some really ugly women. This is true. All right, next one up. Sorry for driving the speed limit. Some of us have warrants. And a buddy of mine years ago used to say, never break more than one law at a time. If you're drunk, don't speed. And if you're speeding, don't be drunk. Because when you break more than one law at a time, that's when you're going to get caught. Not encouraging any of that behavior, by the way. All right. 2-tier policing is real. 20 months in prison for a social media post, 6 months for killing a teen with a machete. The UK has gone mad. True story. These dirtbags here killed this young man with a machete. They got 6 months. This asshole here with the fake judge's wig went on an absolute tirade about somebody who posted stuff on social media that caused somebody else anxiety, the unforgivable crime of anxiety. You are not guaranteed not to be offended. That's just bullshit. Now, this one here absolutely kills me. Meanwhile, in Walmartianville, you haven't partied until you've walked home with your ass on backwards. Oh my God. So years ago, somebody said to me something similar, not quite this egregious, that's actually referred to as a front bum. All right. And boy, howdy, check this out. Somewhere between 1959 and 2023, things went terribly wrong. That is for sure. I had a guy come at me recently, by the way, to say that my comments on the lack of testosterone, which today the average 20-year-old has a testosterone level that the average 70-year-old had 20 years ago, that soy is actually good because soy increases estrogen production, and estrogen is just as anabolic as testosterone. Nothing could be further from the truth. Complete and utter bullshit. How these people have their minds turned to mush like that is beyond me. And here's a legit question. If lesbians don't like men, why are they attracted to women that look like men? If anybody can answer that, I'd love to hear. Let's see. One or two, either way. The Amazing Grace, number 3. Let's see. I'm thinking that the majority of people went with number 1. They think that that was a dude and not a girl. All right, give me 2 seconds here to queue up the next batch of memes. It's like the never-ending stream of memes. We'll probably skip the conflicted question for tonight, seeing as it's just me and we're going hog wild on all the memes here, but we're actually getting closer to the end here. I don't know how many I've got left, but not too many. We'll be wrapped up soon enough. All right. Actually, you know what? I have all of the memes now loaded up. All right, here we go. This is funny. And now we wait. First person who sends an email to support@survivaldispatch.com and tells me what's wrong with this picture gets a free 12-month paid membership for our Patreon. So support@survivaldispatch.com. What's wrong with this picture? Send me an email. I will send you a free 12-month membership, which is $95, which is 20% off the regular price of $9.99, but you get it completely for free if you point out what is wrong with this picture. Next one up. Uncoachable kids become unemployable adults. Let your kids get used to someone being tough on them. It's life. Get over it. No participation trophies. When someone says I'm highly educated, all I hear is I'm fully indoctrinated. True story. Liberal women when they see Donald Trump. So here's the womanly parts down here at the bottom of the meme. All right. It says here, Trump hurts your feelings. I'm writing you a prescription for 2 testicles. Good plan. The people who built this are not going to benefit or enrich the culture of people who built this. So for those of you who don't pay attention to European politics and all the crazy news over there, essentially every time somebody in Europe questions why their country is being invaded by people from third world countries, they are told it's because they were going to enrich your culture. Yeah, probably not. Once upon a time, long ago, the FBI was created to fight organized crime. Then the FBI became organized crime. The end. Indeed. Reminder, this shit show all started with a fake birth certificate from Hawaii. Man, we're almost down to the end here. You're fired. Yeah, it's funny, but this is funny right here. 2025 worst vehicle from the National Association of Terrorist Car Bombers. That's pretty dang good. So if you're a car bomber, you apparently, Cybertruck is not the way to go if you're a car bomber. All right. So I want a quick shout out. We started the night tonight with, oh my goodness, Mark Choppa. And I was introduced to him because we have mutual friends at Flex Industries, which makes the fastest triggers on the market, and they're completely legal. I'm going to show you a 32-second clip of another friend of ours named Reggie showcasing the new Flex AK trigger, which is coming imminently from Flex. Absolutely amazing performance.
AK Flex. AK Flex. The crazy part about this thing, it can fit in all platforms. This right here is in a 9 mil. We running in the 7.62, 5.45, short, even in the Draco, the long 16-inch. AK Flex, baby.
All right. So if you go to flexindustries.com and anything, appeals to you, check out with the discount code SD17. So S is in Sam, D is in David, 17, and you get 17% off. They're the inventors of the G Flex trigger, which is for Glock pistols. And if I had to bet, the videos that Mark Choppa has of the G Flex trigger is probably why the ATF raided them. They probably thought it was a Glock switch, which is highly illegal. But the G Flex trigger in most states, not every state. So Washington State, you can't have these kinds of triggers. California, you can't have them. Binary triggers were just outlawed in Minnesota. Tampon Tim just outlawed them. And in Florida, anything that's considered a rate increasing device is not allowed. But again, I'm not an attorney. I'm not giving you legal advice. You should familiarize yourself with the laws in your jurisdiction before you buy anything like that. Nonetheless, badass triggers, great warranty too, by the way. Super stand-up people behind flexindustries.com. All right, we're at the homework section. So homework means whatever the main topic of the night was, we give suggestions, because I noticed years ago on podcasts, people would make comments and say, all I see are a bunch of talking heads. My vote doesn't count. Nothing I can do is going to make any difference. And that is just not true. We made this past election too big to rig. And the way we did it was by asking people. There were 3,200 of us in a cooperative effort through my buddy Jason Wilson to ask our audiences to take somebody with them when they voted on November the 5th. And a lot of people did that. And that's how we made the election too big to rig. There's 10 million hunters alone who don't typically vote. That's more than enough to swing an entire election. So homework wise, in light of Mark Choppa being ATF raid, pre-dawn raid, guns in his face, guns in his kid's face, absolutely horrendous. I hope he wins a lot of money when it gets to the civil stage. But what can you all do? Okay, number one, discuss this topic with your family and put together a plan in case the authorities ever conduct a pre-dawn raid on your home or somebody else that you know. Awareness will be the key to survival, like Mark Choppa. If it wasn't for the fact that he was up early and awake and trains people on firearm safety, he may not have had the presence of mind, and he would end up like, there's more than just the one person we mentioned earlier tonight who died because they did not have it in their mind how to deal with this, and they immediately did the right thing to defend themselves. Number two, donate to reputable and solid 2A groups like FPC and GOA. So FPC, Firearms Policy Coalition, GOA, Gun Owners of America. As far as I'm concerned, those two are doing the heavy lifting and the best work to fight for your Second Amendment rights. If you're going to join any of the 2A groups, those are the ones, FPC and GOA. We have no ties to them. I don't even have links down below. It's just a good thing to do. And third but not last, holy crap, speak out against three-letter agencies overstepping their bounds when stories like Mark's come to light. Chevron deference deterrent doctrine, has been thrown out. And what that means is the biggest Supreme Court decision in all of our lives. Every single person who's watching this video, who's alive today for that matter. And the reason I say that is because for 40 years, if you tried to sue an alphabet agency, the courts were required to refer you back to the agency that you were trying to sue, because those agencies were the experts and the judiciary was not the expert. However, The Constitution does not provide for a fourth branch of government known as the bureaucracy. So when the Chevron deference doctrine got thrown out last year by SCOTUS, what that essentially means is that you can sue the government, these bureaucracies, because the bureaucracies are not allowed to make laws and penalties that go with them. So they've disguised things as regulations and fines, but in reality, it's no different than breaking a law and having a penalty applied for it. So it's a big, big deal, put it that way. All right, next up, just a quick reminder on our Patreon, patreon.com/survivaldispatch, $9.99 a month. If you sign up, you get a free account, you get about 50% of the content. But if you pay, you get all of the daily sit reps across the board, including tonight's, which again, 64 pages long. You get access to exclusive and behind the scenes content, access to our private encrypted signal chat, which is unfreaking believable. Just the volume of intel, information, training, camaraderie in there is just insane. Let's see, next one up, you get our 228 page essentials guide. You get 50% off all of our e-magazines, SDI e-magazines, and early access to content. So there's a link in the description, there's a link in the brief, but patreon.com/survivaldispatch. Also, the daily sit reps now have a restricted section at the end. So this is stuff that we can't put on certain platforms, like YouTube, for example. And we've also added a section of partners, partner products, discount links, discount codes for stuff that we support. I don't know what the exact count is. I'd have to add it up. It's 20, 25, something like that. We have relationships with over 300 different companies, and we only promote that 20 to 25. They're the only ones that we're willing to really stand behind. We're not in the business of hurting other people's businesses, which is why you don't see negative stuff from us. And I'm very thankful that we adopted that policy years ago, because we have been sent products. The products have failed. We've gone back to the vendor and said, look, we can't get behind this product. This is what it did. We send it back to them. Lo and behold, they turn around and send one back and say, hey, the last one you got was damaged in shipping. Try this one. And sure enough, the next one that they ship absolutely rocks. So, you know, we can't hold them responsible for shipping damage, and we don't want to burn somebody else's business. So with that being said, we're going to pass on the conflicted question tonight. Tomorrow night, I'll have some co-pilots with me, and we'll just push the conflicted question there. But other than that, please like, share, comment, subscribe. God bless America. Long video coming for you all, by the way, if you hang out.
Darkness once again, unearthly violence with no end, power visions quietly storming, funds of fueling downstream draining, our visions was put on hold. Sound of violence. It's not a dream, their lives are torn, blood flowing over dirt and stone. In the sights of a deadly drone, greenlit to fire innocence unknown. And a mother and father must bury another son. The world's undone. In the sound of violence. Then in a shining light we saw 100 million people are sending a sound of violence.